Hello everyone, welcome to WhiskyWars. Last week I showed you guys my worst whiskies of the year so far, so I thought it's only right to do my favourite whiskies of the year so far. I can't wait for my end of year video for this. I'm going to be incorporating a lot of whiskies in this video because there are a lot of whiskies that I really enjoyed this year. But I thought let's just talk about the best three today. And I'm going to kick things off with, I'm going to put this one in with the three and I'm going to kick another one out. So I'm just going to include this as a special mention because I have 4 here with me, but I only want to talk about 3. So the special mention is actually going to be, and it wasn't going to be this one, the Lechick 9 Year. Now this is a cask strength whiskey, limited release, aged all 9 years of its life in ex-Bordeaux red wine casks. And Lechick, for those of you who don't know, is the peated line of the Tobermory distillery, so an island Scotch whisky. And I love Lechick whiskies. I think there's some really good stuff from the Isle of Mull. This has grown and grown and grown over time. So initially I liked it, but I wasn't blown away. And over time, this one, every time I try it, really enjoying it. And there's a note in here that I'm going to talk about in another whiskey. I just love this note, and that is the note of pine. And I get pine in with red wine in this whiskey, and it is beautiful. I really enjoy that note. But I'm not going to be talking about this one really. This is just a special mention. A very, very good whiskey. Okay, let's kick things off with my favourite. No, let's. I'm teasing you. Let's not include my favourite. We'll save that for the end. I'm going to throw a bourbon in here, guys. Yeah, I know none of you was expecting it, and I know some of you might turn your nose up at this one. But for me, I've actually bought a few bourbons recently. Recommended ones. And I was expecting big things, and honestly, this one is the best I've had so far. Now, of course, I love the Wild Turkey Rare Breed. That's still my favourite bourbon, but I've not reviewed that this year. That was last year or the year before. And I love it. It's 10 years of age, bottled at 45% ABV, and that is the Eagle Rare. Now, I gave this one as a birthday treat for me back in April, and as you can see, it's almost gone. I really enjoyed it. I like the bottle design, I have to be honest. And in the UK, we don't get the Buffalo Trace bottled at 45% like I believe you guys get in America. We get it, unfortunately, at 40% ABV. But what that does mean is that we can buy it for £17 in the UK, which is about $22. So the price is good. Now this one, and also what I like about that is the Eagle Rare is a huge step up in quality because you're getting not only a 5% ABV jump, but also an age statement now. And this whiskey is beautiful. I really enjoy this whiskey. In fact, as you can probably see, this is the whiskey that I just reach for all the time. It's not terribly complex, but this is a whiskey that I just reach for when I want something nice. And we've been having good weather lately, and having something that's fairly simple, but really strong in the notes that I like and enjoy when I want a relaxed sipper. It also comes in with a lovely milk chocolate and leather note as well. The disappointment though is I don't like the artificial corks. I know some people do because they don't break, but I've only ever had one break. So I do prefer the natural cork still. The Eagle Rare 10 Year is priced in the UK all the time around £32. That's $40. And it's accessible all the time, never out of stock. So for me, one whiskey that I'm always going to have on my shelf. It really is. This is going to be a staple whiskey for me. And maybe if I had a 10 bottle bar, this will always be one of the 10. Okay, Okay, moving on, we're going back to Scotland and we're going for a cask strength. And this is a limited edition whiskey. In fact, only 2,000 bottles were made of this release, which is really unfortunate. I saw this one in duty free and I just had to buy it. I had to try it. It's a Campbelltown whiskey. And I did say to myself, I want to add 2 Campbelltowns this year and at least one of them to be a Glen Scotia. And this was actually the second Glen Scotia. It's a 10-year cask strength whiskey from Glen Scotia, bottled at 55.3% ABV. Now I'll just show you the bottle of it. Now I've got quite a bit left of this bottle because I won't be buying it again, unfortunately. So I didn't want to just drink it. I know I can replace the Eagle Rare, I can't replace this one. Now its first fill bourbon barrel is the aging process of this, and that's it. Batch 1, bottled 2022. And this whiskey is funkier to my nose than the Springbanks that I have, and I have the 15-year and the 12 cask strength. It's very, very funky, but and very, very oily. Incredibly strong and potent in that Campbelltown note that a lot of you will know if you've had Campbelltowns. But what this whiskey adds, which really blows me away, is I get a really strong pineapple on this whiskey and marmalade jam. And it really, really blows me away. Now, this is not a whiskey that I can have too much of in one sitting because it's very overpowering. It's full of flavour. It's so strong. And I'm not talking about an alcoholic strength there. Flavour. I'm talking about flavour. It's potent. It's powerful. Beautiful whiskey. Had to just quickly talk about it. I have filmed a neck pour of this whiskey and a Whiskey War, and they'll be coming fairly soon, so do keep an eye out for them when they come along. This is probably my second favourite whiskey of the year so far. And now it's time for my favourite whiskey of the year so far. But I don't think it's going to be top, to be honest with you. I'd be surprised if I could finish the year with one whiskey creeping into this top 3. I'll be very, very happy, because all 3 of these I think are fantastic. But this whiskey is just mind-numbingly exceptional. For me, at least. This is not a whiskey that I recommend for everyone. I really, really don't recommend it for everyone. But this is my favourite whiskey of all time. So it's not just my favourite one of this year so far, all time. It's 16 years of age. It's bottled at 48% ABV. It is the most expensive whiskey that I've ever bought. This is the Lefroy 16 year. Now this is a purely ex-bourbon cask release, aged for 16 years. Now the price of this, I didn't mention the price of the Glen Scotia. The price of the Glen Scotia is only £55 for a cask strength 10 year Campbelltown limited release with 2,000 bottles. I thought it was stunning value, and it's proven to be the case. The days of buying Talisker Parlay Edition, I know a lot of people like that whiskey. I think it's horrifically overpriced for the flavour you get. That, when it was released, was £90 or £80 in the UK. The Glen Scotia 10-year cask strength, so it's an age statement, and Campbelltown, and cask strength, and miles better, £55. You can't argue with that. Well done, Glen Scotia. The Lefroy 16 is £86 in the UK. So my most expensive purchase. Lefroy have recently released an 18-year age-stated whiskey. So I saw that come out and I thought, oh my, I've got to have a look at this. I've got to. And then I saw the price, £180. Sorry, what? £180? £85, £180. So you pay more than double for 2 more years of aging. That would have to be unbelievable. And I just don't, even if it's better than the 16, which it might be, how can it be more than twice as good? So for me, that's a whiskey that I'm never going to buy. I hope one day to maybe try it, but I would be more than happy having another bottle of this instead. What a whiskey this is. I'll just quickly touch on this whiskey. It's more than halfway drunk. How can I describe this whiskey quickly for you guys? I would say, picture yourself the Laphroaig 10 cask strength with some water added to it. And if you can picture how the Laphroaig Select compared to the standard Laphroaig 10 is sweeter, and those spiky abrasive edges are smoothened and softened up and sweetened, that's what the 16-year does, but proofed up to 48%. This is a more elegant and refined Laphroaig, but you have the addition of this wonderful vanilla cream, and a little bit of like icing sugar on there. But my favourite part of this whiskey is the forest elements of a whiskey are emphasised in this. So the forest elements in that Laphroaig DNA really come to fruition with the 16-year. The note of pine that I was talking about at the start of the video with the Lechic 9-year is so prominent in this whiskey, and it is beautiful. Fir, pine, little bit herbal, but forest notes, forest leaves, winter forest, with your classic Laphroaig DNA as well. For me, this whiskey makes me happy every time I pour it, and it is my favourite whiskey for a reason. I love it. Now for me, I do tend to prefer Laphroaigs just bourbon cask finished. I love the quarter cask as well. I still like Laphroaigs when they're sherried, but I prefer them when they aren't sherried. This is the pinnacle of Laphroaig for me. Now of course I've not had the 18-year, but I'm blown away by this whiskey. And even though it was super expensive, I would gladly save up to buy another bottle again in the future. Oh, such an amazing whiskey. And I know I've maybe oversold these whiskies here today, but I am passionate about whiskey, and when a whiskey really does impress me, I really want to give it credit, and I really want to let you guys know how I feel about the whiskey as well, because I think these are 3 fantastic whiskies. I know I've mentioned 4, all 4 are fantastic, but this one is my favourite whiskey of all time. I really like it. And look, I know I'm singing its praises really heavily. I don't think it is for everyone. I really don't. You have to enjoy that note of pine. You have to enjoy Laphroaig. But if you do, I think you'll love it. Here are my favourite 3 whiskies of the year so far. The Eagle Rare 10-year, the Glen Scotia 10-year cask strength, and the Laphroaig 16. Special mention to the Lechic 9-year. I can't wait for what the rest of the year has in store of new whiskies to try. A big thank you to my Patreon members who are helping me purchase whiskey in the coming months. I really do appreciate it. And to everyone watching, thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, please do drop a like on the video, and don't forget to click that subscribe button down below. That really does help the channel to grow, so I'd really appreciate that. And I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Thanks.